Hello, folks, and welcome to the Counting Sheep Podcast, episode 36. My name is Ruth, and I'll be your host. And my podcast is mostly about things done with wool and fiber. I'm coming to you from my Vermont farm, and I live here with my husband and a whole bunch of animals. Well, not a whole bunch, but quite a few. Sheep to be one of them, and some chickens. And then my dog Cooper, who may or may not make an appearance today, and also my cat Dora. So welcome back if you've been here with me for a while. So glad that you're here. And also welcome to any of my new subscribers, hoping that you find something that resonates with you. I am just back from a lovely trip to Arizona with my husband, and we got in last weekend, and it was quite a nice trip, and I have some footage as well as pictures, but I might just put up the pictures. Otherwise this video might get really long. But I will put them at the end of the video. So in case you're not interested in that kind of thing, you can just kind of tune out when I stop talking. Yeah, we had a wonderful time. We had gorgeous weather. Unfortunately, they are always in kind of a drought situation, hard to find water out there. And then we flew back into New England on Saturday to a drought condition here. The Mid-Atlantic, New Jersey, New York area has been in a drought situation for several weeks now, and now it's kind of sort of hitting Vermont and northern New England. Fortunately, there is rain in the forecast, so fingers crossed. I think some of it will be snow at our higher elevations, and that's not unheard of here in the North Country, as we call it. So yeah, so looking forward to getting a little bit of moisture back. Yeah, it is certainly very dry here. So that was my trip to Arizona. I took some really great pictures, visited quite a few national parks, which is something that my husband and I really enjoy doing. So let me just comment on the elephant in the room, which is my shift, which I am now done. So last time I had it, but it was still a little damp from the blocking board, and I had not put the seam in yet. So I'm going to just back up, stand up, and kind of show you in its full glory here. I absolutely adore this. Yeah. So pretty. I did it in my hand spun, 3 different hand spun wools. And I spun all of this wool on my Ashford e-spinner. And I believe all of it was 3-plied. It was, yeah, all 3-ply yarn, about a sport weight. And as you can see, even though there's some contrasting colors in the yarn, it all kind of works well together in this pattern. This is a mosaic slip stitch pattern of Andrea Mowry's, and I should show you the pattern. This is her modeling her shift. She has it kind of off center. But yeah, I really love this, and yeah, we'll see how long I can keep it on, because I do tend to get a little warm. But I am in my upstairs, which this part of the house tends to stay a little cooler than the rest. So who knows? We'll see. But it is quite cozy. Yeah, and I highly recommend the pattern. It's now a finished object, and I can go on Ravelry and put up some pictures. But yeah, if you would like to do this, I would say an adventurous beginner can do this. And there's just one seam to it. So yeah, and yeah, definitely a fun make. I'm glad my friend Tammy had hers on, and that's what inspired me to do mine. Yeah, so highly recommend. All right, and then the other little bit before I get started with my crochet knitting content and all that good stuff is that I did have a request to do Vlogmas again this year. And so I am going to take a stab at it again. If you were here with me last year, the way I do Vlogmas is basically, I try to make it doable. I don't go maybe over 5 minutes a day of filming all put together, just because it makes my life easier, and it probably makes your life easier if you're dedicated to viewing Vlogmases during this very busy time of year for most people. So yeah, and it kind of just gives you another peek into my life as a maker, as somebody who gets ready for the holidays, and just my everyday prep and pretty much everyday stuff. So if you're into getting a little look-see into farm life, you know, it'll probably be a lot of my dog Cooper and my cat Dora. They tend to be quite cute with one another, and so I can get some footage of that, and also any of the baking and other activities I get up to around the holidays. So please join me if that's your thing. All right, so enough with that. That was a big intro. I am going to go on. I usually start with crocheting, I go into knitting, and then talk about spinning. I don't have anything in spinning this time around, but hopefully soon I will. So we'll have to put that on the back burner for this time. The first thing I want to do in crochet, I just have whips. I don't have any finished objects in crochet. And this one is Morag, the Highland Coup. And if you've been with me, you kind of know the deal with this. It's been a long time in the make. But this is a kit from Toft Woolens. And if you know their kits, they give you everything you need in the kit. The stuffing for the amigurumi. This one happens to be a Highland Coup. They give you a hook. They give you a darning needle. They also give you thread or colored yarn for the embroidery that you do, like with the eyes and nose and that sort of thing. They give you enough stuffing as well for the object, and of course the yarn. And it is very, very soft yarn. This is a DK blend. Because I was working on other things or other objects, obviously this has been a slow go. I've showed you the head already. It's a slow go too because of this loop stitch that you do. It tends to slow me down. And then I have started on one of the legs. So where my finger is, here's the top of the leg, and then there's the bottom, and you can see all the little loop stitches I've made here, and then just a little stitch marker to help me find out where or keep track of where the beginning is. So yeah, it's a little leg. I have to make 3 more of these. This one's not done yet. It's got a little bit more length to it. And I have made the horns. I made a prototype of Morag's tail as well with this color yarn, but it is supposed to be done in this color yarn. So yeah, I'm moving very slowly along with that. It's one of those things I pick up and I put down when my hands get tired of doing other things. So yeah, so that's Morag, the Highland Coup, and I'm gonna try to bring you updates on him as time goes on. See, this is my prototype of the tail, but it's not supposed to be done in this color yarn. It's supposed to be done in this camel color yarn. So, but it is kind of an interesting tail. All right, so that's Morag. All right, so the second thing in crochet that I want to show you is the Roxy sweater. If you've been with me for a while, you know I'm a big fan of Courtney Clark, who is also known as Tinderbox, and she is quite a prolific designer. I think she puts out a pattern a month, and I don't know how she does that. It's incredible. But last week I said to you that I wanted to do this Roxy sweater. It's done in a DK yarn, and I chose Barocco Vintage DK. And this is the colorway I chose. And I believe they just have a color number on here, but I know it has a color name and I can't remember what it is. I think it's Moss something. But the color number is 21174. So 21174. And it's this nice kind of earthy green. Now, since I did this swatch, she came out with another pattern. And it was last week when I was on vacation. And of course, you know, I scroll through my email every day. And of course, she came out with another pattern and I had to grab it up. This one is also done in a DK. And she named it after a friend of hers who was also a crochet designer. Her name is Kira. And she named it the Kira Quarter Zip. So here is the picture of the Kira Quarter Zip. And as you can see, it's quite cool. It's got a really nice texture on the bodice, on the upper part of the sweater. And I went round and round. I thought, oh, do I do the Roxy or do I start the Kira? And what I decided ultimately was that since I had already swatched for the Roxy, that I was going to stick to the Roxy. Also, I love this stitch pattern. This stitch pattern has several names to it in the industry, but I believe Courtney calls it the lemon peel stitch. I've also heard it called the cobblestone stitch, and a whole host of others, which I can't bring to mind right now. But as you can see, it's got a nice, lovely texture to it. It's a mixture of single and double crochets, and that's American terminology. And I just adore this stitch. I've used it in other things. And when I found out that it was this stitch, I just thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to love doing this. So I'm going to stick with the Roxy. Now that I've swatched it, which is the one thing I got done during the 2 weeks since I've been here, I'm going to go ahead and start this. So hopefully by next time I will have more to show you. But I thought I'd just share with you that new design by Courtney Clark, who she just knocks it out of the ballpark every single time. There's really few designs of hers that I wouldn't try. So this is done on a 3.75 millimeter hook, and I'm actually getting engaged with the stated hook in the pattern, which to me, that's a miracle. You know, you should mark it on the calendar anytime that happens, at least for me. So yeah, so stay tuned on that. Glad to be getting some more crochet on my hooks. I had a period where I finished up a lot of stuff, and now I'm glad I'm able to start some things. So the other thing I want to start is a new pattern as well by a different designer and podcaster, and this is called the Granny Stripe Shawl by Crochet Object. This is Moanne, and she has a podcast. She lives in Israel, and she actually does, I think now she's mostly doing vloggy type videos. And but it's nice because it kind of gives you, like any vlog, it gives you an insight to somebody's life other than what's on their hooks and needles. Anyway, she just put this pattern out. This is her latest, the Granny Stripe Shawl. And you might be thinking, well, here's another granny type shawl or whatever, you know, and so what? What's the difference? With this one, she's added some shaping in so that it drapes nicely over your shoulders. And I also thought I'd mention it because Advent season is coming up. I don't know whether you have an Advent calendar coming, but I usually partake in getting at least 1 or 2, maybe 3. And I thought this is a good idea, like especially if you're getting the minis, mini fingering weight. This is a good idea, a good shawl idea to do with all those minis. This is an Advent I purchased, I think it's going on 2 years ago now. And this is from Chaos Fiber. And she hails from Texas. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in this Advent, including the yarn. One day you opened up stitch markers, and they're all in the shape of donuts because the theme of the actual Advent was time to make the donuts. So those are little donut stitch markers. But this is Chaos Fiber Company. She is an indie dyer. But I just thought I'd show you a couple of minis. I got 12 minis all together. They're 20 grams each. And then I also got this, this 100-gram skein of kind of a neutral color, which I thought would be good to make the actual scalloped edge of the shawl. But anyway, she has these beautiful saturated, vibrant colors. And like everything that I do, I went and wound up all these colors, and then it just sat for a while. So, and they're in a nice basket here. It's not like they don't have a good home. But anyway, let me just show you them all in the basket, because I know what I'm like when I hold up stuff. So anyway, here are all the wonderful colors. There's a really deep pink and red in here. Yeah, so I have 12 of these minis, and I figured out yardage-wise and gram-wise that I'm going to have enough to do the granny stripe shawl. So I'm thinking about starting that as well. And one would say I have a case of startitis, because now I have 2 things to start. But, you know, that's what life is all about, right? Starting things, and starting things just gets all those creative juices flowing. So, and Moanne said on her podcast, you know, I kind of styled this so that you can use up leftovers as well as any kind of Advent minis or whatever that you might have laying around. And so yeah, I'm just gonna choose randomly and see what happens. Maybe I'll just, you know, put my hand in the basket and see what comes up with the pattern. So yeah, so that's the granny stripe shawl. And yeah, check her out. She has some really cute patterns. Yeah, I really enjoy watching her podcast. So she was just in the States not too long ago. She was here in Vermont for the peak of foliage season. So hats off to her. That's great. She she braved all the crowds we get up here during leaf peeping season, and they covered a lot of ground. She brought her entire family over. So good on her. All right, so that's it for crochet. I think I am going to lose this right now, so I'm going to take just a little break, and I'll be right back. Just going to show you the one seam that's on this. This is in the back of the shift. So it's not a real long seam, but you can see how the lines of knitting are a bit different there. So, but yeah. Gorgeous, nice and cozy. I can attest to that. So I'm just going to take a little drink of my water and show you my next whip. I got some work done on this whip here. And if you've been with me for the past couple of times, you knew I was working on the Wharf Street vest by Elizabeth Smith Knits. And that is Elizabeth herself on Wharf Street in Portland, the street she named the vest after, because there's such nice texture in the vest, which kind of mimics the texture of the street. So yeah, last time I think I had the fronts done and I had put the shoulders on hold because the shoulders get a 3-needle bind off once you have the back done. And she has such great patterns, just spells everything out for you. So yeah, here are the fronts, well, the front with the 2 shoulder straps and all of my ends. And then I have the back part here. So yeah, I'm getting there. I only have a few more rows to go before I get to shape the neck a little bit and then do 3-needle bind offs on both shoulders. And then what's left to do is the neck and the armhole openings. So they will both get ribbing, I believe. And then this little thing, this little item will be done. So yeah, this is a worsted weight yarn. I'm using Harrisville Highland yarn. And I always get it wrong, but this is jade. I want to call it sage, but it is jade. So yeah, that's the Highland. And again, another pattern, well written, walks you right through all of the shaping. All of the numbers are, all the math is spelled out for you. And she even says, you know, if you're going to alter the length at all, just keep track, which is always good so that you can duplicate the same on the back when you get to it. So yeah, I'm excited about that because it's almost done, and it would have been done had I not been working on the next item I'm going to show you. I just want to make sure I told you everything about that. I told you the yarn. Oh, I'm knitting this on number 7s. The pattern calls for 8, but you know how that goes. My knitting is very loosey-goosey, so I have to almost always go down one or a couple of needle sizes. So, all right. Now, the next project, which is I'm most excited about because I was able to bring this on my trip with me, and also I got some really good progress done on it. I'm doing a mystery sock along, knit along. So mystery meaning that the pieces of the pattern get emailed to you on a weekly basis, and then you have, theoretically, a week to get that piece done. So we started, I think, the first Friday in November, and we got the cuff and the leg instructions for our socks. These are socks. This is a pattern by Donna Dracunis, and she has given it a name, but I'd have to go and look it up again. It's on Ravelry, and I did make a Ravelry page for this. So anyway, here are the cuff and the leg. So as you can see, this has some really cool texture to it. It was funny because as I was making these, I was thinking they reminded me of the cacti that I saw in Arizona with the big long arms. They're called saguaro cacti, and we saw a whole bunch of them because we went to both national parks that are protecting that plant in Arizona. And I thought, gee, you know, if anything, I could call it my Soraro socks because they do look like cacti to me. So that was the first week. This is a lot of knitting for 2 socks, and I do mine always 2 at a time, otherwise they don't get done. So yeah, this is a nice bit of ribbing here, about 2.5 inches, and then we go into the patterning. And then the second week we got the heel and gusset. So it's a garter stitch heel and just a wee bit of a gusset here. And then this third week, which I'm working on right now, we're doing the foot. So yeah, just a little bit of ribbing here in the middle of the foot, just to kind of snug it in a little. Otherwise, we've got stockinette stitch going on. And yeah, enjoying it. It's a lot of knitting. You think socks are a small project, but it is a lot of knitting on small needles and skinny yarn. And so it does take a while. And I'm happy when I can say, gee, I have a pair of socks that I've made. And yeah, so I'm going to finish up the foot. And then this Friday is the last clue, which is the toe. And yeah, I'm going to try these on pretty soon just to see where they fall on my feet. She gives you a lot of coaching as to fit and measuring and that sort of thing. So that's really good. Of course, everything comes down when everybody's feet are different. So it's always good to be able to try on as you go. So, so yeah, so those are my socks. And I will try to put the name of what she's calling these socks, the pattern up on here. So I'm not sure what the availability will be for the pattern since this was a mystery knit along. And if I can find that out, I'll let you know as well. All right, so that's it for my knitting, except for I just wanted to show you when I went to Rhinebeck a couple weeks ago, I needed a project that I could work on in the evenings when everybody was talking and that sort of thing, so kind of like just a knit project. And if my viewers who've been with me for a long time know that I started this half-tone pullover quite a while ago, and I put it on hiatus over the summer simply because I had a lot of different sweaters on the go, and summer, it just wasn't calling to me this summer to finish sweaters. So, but anyway, this is a pattern by Kim of Indigo Knits. So as you can see, two-tone sweater, dark on the top with a little bit of color work in the middle, and then a lighter color on the bottom. This does call for J&S. I'm doing mine in J&S. And I am to the point where I'm doing ribbing right now on the bottom. So I have the body done, and then I'll be on Sleeve Island. So, but I thought I'd share it with you anyway, because I got a lot of this straight knitting done while I was at Rhinebeck in the house that I shared with the group I was with. So yeah, so here's where all the color work is. This blue color, if I can find the ball band, I think it's FC37. Yeah, FC37 mix. So that's Jamieson and Smith, 2-ply. And then this lighter color, this gray, is the 202. Oh, 203, sorry. And I have that in a cone. So the camera might not pick it up, but there's a definite difference in how this looks. This is obviously the ball yarn, which has been washed. And then this is the cone yarn, which has not been washed. So it still has some of the spinning oils in it. Once I block this whole mess, it will look the same. I have tried this on, which is the beauty of a top down, and it's perfect. It's a good fit for me. I thought at first it was going to be too big, but this is supposed to have quite a lot of positive ease to it, and it's supposed to fit like a sweatshirt. So I'm happy with the fit, happy that, yeah, I continued to go with it. So, yeah. So stay tuned. This gets an Italian bind off, and I did look that up. I have done an Italian bind off before. It is a sewn bind off, so which means it'll probably take me forever to do. Now, actually, once you sit down and start going at it, it kind of flows pretty easily. And it's kind of a, you know, a Kitchener bind off, honestly. So it's just a matter of getting into a rhythm with it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that that's come along as far as it has. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. And then I did manage to get a couple of acquisitions while I was in Arizona. When I visit an area, I do like to sample, try to find something that's, you know, local to the area, knitting wise or crochet wise. And I happened along to a store called Sedona Knitwits, and they are actually not in Sedona. They are in Cottonwood, Arizona, which is the next town over. So, yeah, and I actually, the first thing I saw was some Araucania Hohesco sock yarn. This is hard for me to get. I don't have a supplier local to me. This is a sock yarn, and it reminded me of all the colors that I was seeing in the Arizona landscape while I was there. So it was nice to see something like that and pick up a skein for a project, whether it be socks or a small scarf or kerchief. And then the other item that I picked up was dyed in Arizona by an independent dyer. They are called Delicious Yarns. Four Peaks is the colorway, and it's this nice kind of tonal gray yarn. This skein is huge. It's a fingering weight, and there's 800 yards. This is 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel. And it's hand dyed in Arizona. So that was nice to pick something local up like that. I didn't give you the stats on the sock yarn here. It's 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide. Yeah, 433 yards to 100 grams. So yeah, those were my two acquisitions from the state of Arizona. All right, so I think that's going to do it for me. Next week is Thanksgiving here in the States, and it's always a favorite time of mine to reflect on what I am grateful for, and having gratitude and trying to project that out into the world. So I am grateful for all of you, for one, for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. Thank you so much for being here. You make it all worthwhile. I love your comments and I love your support. So yeah, there's so much to be grateful for. And it's nice to start the day off with just thinking about that, thinking about how grateful we are for our blessings and that sort of thing. So yeah, if you celebrate Thanksgiving here in the States, happy Thanksgiving, and be well and take care of yourselves. Keep crafting, and I will see you soon for Vlogmas. Bye.